All right, and welcome to Family Circle Show. This is where we discuss everything family, restoring family values. So today, as always, I used to have my fabulous around, but today fabulous, is on an errand. So fabulous won't join us today. But today I have in the house a very remarkable lady. This face on the exclusive interview and of course other programs that I have, we've seen her face again and again. And then we have decided, because she is a powerhouse, she is a mother, a wife, and of course, a grandmother. Mhm. When she comes up, you get to see her. And you ask yourself, is she really a grandmother? She is a grandmother. So that means she has experience, in the family line. And of course, the topic which we are going to discuss, she is a successful entrepreneur. She is a successful leadership coach. And of course, she is a TV show host of the popular online TV show, The Greatness Engineering Show. So welcome with me, my dear sister, Mireille Toulekima.
Thank you, thank
Good
you,
to see
thank you,
you.
thank you, sister, for having me again on your
Yeah.
show. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be here, to be beautifully hosted by you. And I'm actually quite excited because we're going to talk about a subject that is very important right now and having actually some devastating impact in our young adults and our youth. So it's important that we start talking about it and really starting the conversation, because sometimes it's just about starting the movement, and then things are actually, the ripple effect start to take care of itself. So thank you for welcoming me here on the on your family show.
Thank you so very much for being here. We are so, so delighted to have you. All right, ma'am, very quickly into what we have today. We wanted to, you know, share a very little or briefly, I would say, your journey with us, how
Mhm.
your growing up was like, and of course the kind of family setting that you came up from.
Mhm.
Introduce yourself to us, ma'am.
So thank you. Great question, because as you gonna see, my upbringing have been very diverse. So I've got into diversity from a very young age. So my name is Mireille Toulekima. I'm originally from Gabon. For those who don't know Gabon, Gabon is in West Africa and it's a former French colony. So part of my early life, I was in Gabon. So went to school and until age 14. I actually left my parents. So my parents sent me boarding. So I boarding at the age of 14, and boarding into a family and that didn't look like me. So with a French, so I started to live with a French family and did all my the second part of my secondary school there. And after finishing, so I spent 6 years with this family, family that I went boarding into. So they became my parents as well. So second pair of parents. So that were me. And then starting from there, when I started my university years, I actually live with one of my sister cousin, because I mean, for us, the extended family is we don't make a difference for us. Your dad brothers and sister children are your sisters and brothers. So I was living with my cousins, as we know it in the Western world, but for me, where they are my sisters. And so I had the opportunity to live alone and finish my studies. Obviously everything was actually taken charge by my dad, but he passed away. So at some point I just had to find, myself. Wanted to stay in France, couldn't do it because I couldn't find a job. So I had to go back to Gabon, and that's where I got actually into the oil and gas industry, and became, and started my career back home. It was not a smooth journey because even if I was able to go boarding, my parents didn't have a lot of money. So they put all their money into educating us and sending all their money basically to make sure that I could have a good education. So when my dad passed away, there was no money. So I just had to go back, find a job, and relieve my mom, who had so much on her plate already. And luckily in the interim, some of my elders, my sisters, who are older than me, could actually bridge the gap so that I could come back and settle. So that was a lot of experiences that I've learned from, that I've built myself on, that I've grown from. And those experiences actually helped me going forward, and continue to help me, as I raise my children, and now helping raising my grandchildren. So that's been a very a very interesting and rocky and full of experience, growing with different type of people. So from my parents, from my boarding, my tutors, and then living with my siblings, and then going back, basically empty-handed with nothing, and trying to build my life back home, and being able to actually make it, because it's not easy. You have to be strong, you have to be show some determination, and also in a way be patient. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. The be you have to be patient, and do what's necessary, not rush and get yourself into trouble. So that's in a nutshell how it started, and then the rest just build up itself. Had an international career in oil and gas, and then been doing now a lot of empowerment work, and really working globally with different set of people, but mostly focusing still on putting my story there to help inspire and
Inspire
show
others.
people that it not started where I am. I've started from rock bottom, and but I've been patient to build, put brick by brick what I could put, and then build what I have right now. So
Amazing.
that's an important
Amazing.
setting. Yeah.
Thank you so very much for sharing,
Hmm.
your journey with us. And it's interesting to note that you actually had two different set of parents, and sometimes as
Hmm.
children, when you have to transition from one, from your biological parents to living with other parents, some children, I don't know, some people, see those children like, this one is not my own, I need to treat this person differently, or this is not my real parents, I need to, respond to them differently. But I
Hmm.
can see from what you have become,
Hmm.
the two family actually helped you become what you have become today. And that's interesting part about parenting. And of course, as children, also being able to be groomed, be teachable, being a
Hmm.
child that could also come up and make your parents proud, either of the two,
Hmm.
whoever raised you. In fact, we have people in the world today who never even saw their parents, but some other people raised them up
Hmm.
positively. So I want to say thank you so much for allowing those parents to parent you right.
Yes, and
Sometimes,
that's
yeah.
what it is. It's it's about it's about, who is there when you need them, and that's your parent.
Yeah.
It's not always blood related. So
Sure.
that's an important thing. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I heard you talked about a bit about your journey in
Hmm.
professionalism, of course, in your career, how you built brick by brick, patience and all of that. And of course, that
Hmm.
takes us to our main discussion today. Now, in today's world, I know when you were growing up, of course, I don't know what just happened in this world. Honestly, I don't know what just happened.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
we were
Hmm.
growing up, seed time and harvest, as the Bible talks about, it's something everybody, was always looking
Hmm.
forward to, planting, watering, and of course, harvesting. It applies to every areas of our lives.
Hmm.
But in today's world, everybody just want to, I want to get this money now. I just want to finish school, some from high school. I just want to finish high school and make money and buy Lamborghini, buy, all the designers clothes and all of that without having a source of income.
Hmm.
So I want you to share your, because I know you have succeeded in your career,
Hmm.
either as an entrepreneur, as a mediapreneur, as a speaker, you name it. And of course, in the oil
Hmm.
and gas industry,
Hmm.
I know you have also shared your story about some of the challenges you went through as a woman, and yet you thrived through. Share with us, what is your view? What do you think is really going on in today's world? What is driving our youths crazy, into this making this money quick now, now, now?
I think, there are different things. We have to look at it on different angles. First, if we look at the parents, the mistake that the parents have done, and I've done it as well at the beginning, is to, we didn't want our children to go through all the tribulation and all the challenges that we went through. And that's something that, when I became a parent, that's something that I didn't want my children to go through, going through being broke, going through, trying to find your way, and not knowing if you're gonna eat tomorrow, or if you're gonna be somewhere tomorrow where you'll be, in a house, and be comfortable, and really working so hard that, because you had no option. So I really wanted to give this option to my children. And at some point I realized that you still need to instill it in them, the value of work, the value of going through failure, the value of going through challenges, because that's what's gonna, build them. That's what's gonna bring, the values in their life. Because if you give them everything, they don't value anything, and they want things really quickly. They think that they can get it just by, asking, because that's what they get with the parents. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is, there's so much influence right now. I mean, when we were young, I didn't have TV, we didn't have phones. So they have now, at the, they can access the internet, they can see different things. And
Internet.
what you can you and that's the thing. And we see all those promotion as are about getting rich quick. So for them, they start to believe it. They start to believe that's what life is all about. So that's this aspect. And then there's also the influence of, whoever they are around, they have around them, friends, and even adults, around them, who are actually portraying something that is not, that is not actually good, but is accepted. I mean, we see it, and I'm talking a lot here about Africa with the politician. They go and have all those positions, and suddenly they can build big houses, they can have, multiple cars. So, and our children think that that's success, so they really want to have this. So it's a full aspect of different, different influence that are coming in. Yes, the parents have that part to play, but there's also all the environment where, which we are raising our children, which is an environment where there's a lot of distraction. And if you're not careful as a parent, you lose control. So it's important that the parents are really more present than they were, because I mean, for us, we just had to eat, to sleep, to go to school, and the parents were okay. They didn't have to really get involved. I mean, I always tell
Worry
my
so much
children.
about what is going on with us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I was telling my children, I said my dad was a mechanical engineer. He was teaching at uni, but I was doing he never sat down with me and do my homework. He was encouraging me, obviously, paying for the studies, but he didn't have to sit with me and, guide me. But today, as parents, you have to do it. You have to sit down, because there's
Mm-hmm.
just too many things going on. And if the child lose focus, that's it. So you really have to be present as a parent now to guide your children.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like you have rightly put it, there's a lot of distractions. In fact, the
Hmm.
internet, the presence of internet now has made it so worst. And of course,
Hmm.
when we were growing up, there was nothing like phone. I remember there
Hmm.
was nothing like television was a luxury.
Yeah.
It was only those that could afford,
Hmm.
the very rich families that could afford televisions. I remember when we were young, we used to go to our
Hmm.
neighbors, like few
Hmm.
yards away, to watch from
Yeah.
their window. To
Same.
just peep from their window, sometimes
Yeah,
during
exactly.
7,
And TV.
7 p.m. news that you don't even understand. You don't understand what they're, but it's just see pictures.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
our
And
parents, never really bothered much about what we are doing, you know, like in fact, there's a lot of rot, honestly. And
hmm.
like you talked about,
Hmm. Hmm.
our politicians, our so-called influencers posting things on the internet, their achievements, whether they got it
Hmm.
legally or not. These children are seeing
Hmm.
these things and of course begin to, acclaim that to be success. In your own
Hmm.
words,
Hmm.
how would you define success? What's is it about those things that we acquire, the kind of car we drive or the kind of house we live in? How would you define success? What is
Hmm.
success to you?
I think, I mean, success. The definition of success is, I mean, as you know, is a personal one. For me, success is what I call, being able to do what you love, and being able to do, something that is going to be productive to the society, and be happy with that, be happy with what you have. So it's not just about, financial or material success. It's also about, you loving your life, you contributing to the life of people around you,
Others.
and you really bringing positivity into the world, and being, a strong agent of, not only in your environment but also for society in general. So for me, that's success. It's not about having a big car and, driving, having a big house and driving. For me, it's about values. It's about the values that you have. It's about, the value that you create, not only for you but for other people, and have this value sustain, and leave a legacy that will actually outlive you, a good
Outlive
legacy,
you,
not
yes.
a bad one, and that's what it's
Absolutely.
all about. So it's something that, it's you being you, not having to follow what somebody is
What
doing.
others?
And
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So, and we see a lot of that happening right now. We see our neighbor with a big car, we see our neighbor with a big house, we see our neighbor do, other people do something and we want it, but it's not ours. It's this is what they've accomplished, and we can actually be happy differently. We can create a different, a different life for us and be happy. And I think that's also what's actually killing our youth right now, is this drive to emulate, people that they think are successful,
And emulating the wrong people.
and that's and the wrong people, and not really
Yes.
understanding their own value, and understanding that they are unique, understanding that they can create things that are different, and that God gave them gift that they can, use to express themselves and to be happy and to create value, and create sustainable value, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, yes. You have just nailed it there. So, success, to those of you that are
Mhm,
listening, that are watching us, is not about the material things that you gather. It's about the positive impact that you can be able to make in someone's life, the value that you add, that you bring to this world. There's so much negativity around us. So if you're able to bring in some positivity to help somebody, encourage somebody to stand, to discover his or herself, to me, also, that is success. When you
mhm,
see others that are struggling, to discover themselves, because when you discover yourself, you know who you are, you know what you're about, you know what
mhm,
you are here to do on earth. You begin to get busy with your assignment. So I don't think if you discover yourself, you have time trying to emulate others when you have not finished building yourself.
mhm.
So, and of course, there's nothing wrong in emulating other people,
Yeah.
successful people too, if you want to put it that way. But
Mhm,
watch out. What is their story? And that's why it's always very important for our leaders to share their stories, how they started, you know, what they
mhm,
did to bring them to where they are, and not sugarcoating themselves, about what they want to
mhm,
tell people. Tell people how the struggle went through, so that you could help others to know that the journey wasn't just about tea and bread. There was a lot
mhm,
of challenges. There were times where you never had food to eat, you know
mhm,
so that especially our youth these days, our children these days. And I like it when you talked about the fact that you wanted to make everything so on the table for the
mhm,
children. You just provide everything before they call for it. You're already given.
mhm,
But that is not helping any child. If you just give all the time, they will feel like, oh, everything
mhm.
is
It's
always there.
easy.
There should be time, no matter how rich or wealthy you are as a parent, you allow them go through some suffering to know that, come, there may be times there's no bread. There may be times
Exactly.
where there's no there's no water. So
Mhm,
what happens when such things are not available? What do? You teach them how they can adapt to difficult
mhm.
times, and believe that keep on when they keep on doing the right thing, they will definitely scale through. So
Yeah.
thank you very much once again for that insight you have given about
Mhm,
what success truly is. And that's the right steps our children, in fact,
mhm,
even some adults, should begin to
mhm,
look at life. So now that takes us to this big question. In all of this, who is really to be blamed? Is it the parents? Because when we were growing up, our
mhm.
parents parented us differently, and we
Yeah.
actually turned out to be different from what we now
That.
have. So, is it to today's parents? What like you talked about parents being present.
Mhm,
Some parents are present, so and some they are present and yet they are not present.
Mhm, mhm,
So now,
mhm, mhm.
who do you think is to be blamed? Is it the society, our politicians, or our parents back home?
It's and like I said, you have different level. I think parents have their own share of responsibility, because what I've seen in a lot of, in some families, and quite a lot of people, they think that just providing the basic, a house, food, paying for school, that's raising children. But it's not enough. It's not just that. You have to take time to sit down with your children, to explain to them, some of the what's happening in life, and listen to them, listen to what they have to say, and see how they evolve, so that when you see that they're making the wrong steps, you can actually sit down with them and rectify. So the parents have their own responsibility as well. Then we have the education system, because I still remember, and I don't know about you, sister Shirley, when we were young, we had a session on the civility and civic education. So that was part of our curriculum, and we also, there were exam on that. And I think that was a good thing to put into the education system, because we were learning so much about the value of being a citizen, and the value of how we should go about when there are problems, when we communicate with people. So it was a good thing that was complementing what we had at home. So again, the education system has been failing us as well, and obviously the politician as well, because they are there to serve us, they are there to push for the policies and ensure governance that will help us to be good citizen, and then raise our children accordingly. So there is different level, as I said, of responsibility, starting first with the parents, obviously, because we are the closest, and the one that are really have interest to a big interest to raise our children right and guide them. And then you have all those other external, which is the formal education, the education system, and the school environment, which is another one. And then the politician as well, who are sometime in a lot of countries, especially in I'm going to talk about mine, missing in action, and don't really pay attention to this youth, and putting all the structure that are necessary for them to grow, for them to develop, and for them to become responsible citizen. So I think that's those three things that I'm really looking at, and thinking about. And obviously there is a full over scale, as I mentioned, all the environment with the internet, the television, the friends, and everything that where the children are in contact with, that needs to be regulated sometime, because when we were young again, and we didn't have TV 24 hours a day. It was few hours, and then we had to go outside and do things that were productive, to help us to know ourselves, and to be in contact with nature, to play with different children outside, and really get away from this addiction to the internet, addiction to what's going on. And we know the impact now that it gives. I mean, we've seen, especially in the US, we've seen all those shootings that were actually inspired by watching whatever was, on the internet, and communicating with dangerous people on the internet. So it is it is a multi-dimension issue that we need to, we really need to work all together, starting with the parents, putting the foundation, and collaborating with the rest of the different institution that I've just mentioned right now. So that's really what I see. That's really what we need to do, to where I that's the way I spread the responsibility on what's happening right now. This center of trying to get rich quick, and to and really setting the path for our children uh, to lose themselves, and that's something that we don't want, and we need to react, because we're losing, like I said, we're losing our children, and we actually not able to be responsible citizen, and it's having an impact on the on the country, at the country level, at the national level, and at the global level, and that's not what we want.
Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. The the insight has been so elaborate. Thank you so very much. And as we often say, even while we're growing up, children are the leaders of tomorrow. We're the leaders of tomorrow. If we don't groom our children right, if we don't give them that enabling environment for them to grow positively, I don't think they can come up to lead and change the world. So it is high time our leaders, our parents, the society itself come together. Like you have rightly said, it is a collective responsibility, because it's sometimes it's easy for us to say, my child is safe, my child is okay. So what about the other person's child that
Mm-hmm.
the things you're doing is making them
Mm-hmm.
go the wrong way? So but because you will not journey with your child all through his or her journey in life. There may be
Mm-hmm.
times where you're not going to be there. In fact, there are going to be times you're not going to be there with your child. So what if that your child meets with the other child, with the
Mm-hmm.
other person's child, that your behavior, your attitude, the things you say has in a way destroyed that child's life, and that child's become wayward and
Mm-hmm.
in some way affects your own child, either directly or
Mm-hmm.
indirectly. So we should be very intentional about the things we do in our family and of course outside,
Mm-hmm.
because you never can tell how far it could go, either positively or negatively. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to say a very big thank you once again, because the world has actually changed. And
Yeah.
like some people, people in Christendom will say the world is coming to an end, and that's why we're having all of this. We know,
Mm-hmm.
the word of God is always true, always, but then we still have some things we can do, you know, as parents, as individuals. There are things we can do. Now, I want to take you back to,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes as a parent, there are times, like I've seen parents, you know, that have done to them, of course, they believe they have done everything they're supposed to have done as a parent, to groom their children, to raise them, with good morals and all of that. And along the line, something just went wrong, and those children turn out to be something else that the parents, they just begin to wonder, where did this come from? Why are you this? Why
Mm-hmm.
are you that? Why this? Why that? So I just want to throw this. I want to throw this to you. I know this is not
Mm-hmm.
what it is to you,
Yeah.
but I just want us, sometimes put ourselves in other person's shoes. What if it had happened to any of your child? what would you have done differently? You know, owing to the fact that you have done everything, to raising that child. What would you have done differently to help that child, to come out?
Y- as parents, sometimes we think that we know everything as well. We think that we are the only one that are, going to be able to raise, the children. But sometimes we need help. And the thing is, our children are different. If you have four children, you have four different character, and there's four different way to interact and connect with them and to raise them. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that having two or three children, we have to, the rapport that we have with each one of them is different because they are different people. And what we tend to do, and I've seen that, and I've done it at the beginning myself, is whatever the way you interact with one, that's what you repeat for the rest. And I just realized it's not working. So I need to change the dynamic with, one, which is, for example, I take my child Sarah. I will interact differently with Burley. I will interact different with Edna. I will interact because they are different people, and sometimes things can go wrong. Things can go wrong. Maybe you don't have the approach, or the communication is not the right one, and that's when we have to find help. Sometimes help is just talking to your sister, or talking to another mother, or if it's too much, talking to a specialist or somebody who is really expert into relationship between children and parents. And because I think there's taboo for parents to, they see that things are going wrong, but they want to still handle it themselves and keep it, personal, and try to fix things. But sometimes you can't actually fix. And you asked me the question, if something like that happened to you, I would just say, I can't. Let's talk to a specialist. Or each time I had challenges, I would talk to my brother, I would talk to my sister, just to understand, this is the problem that I have with my child. Can you please, how do you see it? Because me, as parents, because it's me into this relationship, I don't see things the same way. So from the outside, how do you see, do you think I should handle something? So it doesn't make me a weak parent. It makes me a parent that who is aware and understand that I I don't have the skills to handle this child, or I don't have the skills to to talk to this child. I will ask for a different person in an institution or whatever, to be able to rectify what's going on. So I think that's the approach that I would take, and really tell parents that they also need to get educated, because we don't have a plan when we get, when we have children. I mean, they come, and we improvise all the time. We try things, and sometimes those things works, and then things can also fail. So we have to understand that we don't have, the
Sometimes it doesn't
perfect
work.
book. Exactly, we don't have the perfect book. So it's important to leave this door open to reach out to external help when we realize that we failed, definitely, with our children.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, you have just said it right, perfectly said it. Now we just need to admit that we are humans, and
Exactly.
as humans, you can't be perfect in every area. And it is actually what is common with us as parents, and that happens around in today's parenting, or
Hmm.
today's parents, I would put it that way. Because before, when during our time, we had community parenting where your neighbor, your aunt, your sister can discipline your child on your behalf, even
Hmm.
when you're not there. and the
Mhm.
child would, adjust immediately. But today, even your husband, if your husband talks to your child anyhow, or your wife talks to your, those kind of thing, you feel like, you want to be too protective and over
Protective.
loving in a wrong way. At the end of the day, destroying those children's life. So
Mhm.
it is high time we as parents seek for help, because a human being is a huge package.
Mhm.
For us as parents, we are saddled with a whole lot of responsibility, a whole lot. In fact, that if not for how God has packaged us as women, and of course as humans, we are not supposed to handle
Mhm.
any other thing other than to sit down and take care, nurture, groom until they come up, because there's a whole lot. The
Mhm.
society, the neighborhood, and all of that is there that could
Mhm.
easily influence your child. So I understand it when you said if it was in your shoe, you would just ask for help. And it is
Mhm.
okay to ask for help. It is okay to seek for specialist assistance. It is okay to get a coach. It is okay to get a mentor around parenting, because you can't do magic. Although we try several times to do super moms, super dads,
Mhm.
we can take care of it. It is my child. Don't tell me how to raise my child. Yes, somebody has to tell you how to raise your child, because
Mhm.
sometimes you may not, know the right thing to do. You may be
Exactly.
hurting them thinking you're loving them in the wrong way. So it is high time for us as parents to have a different mindset to parenting. Let us come back to that era, that time where somebody, even on the street, can tell you, there's something I just noticed about this child. Have you noticed? Why don't you do
Mhm.
this? Why don't you do this? This child is, there's a whole lot that we feel all the time that I can handle it, I can take care of it.
Mhm.
And I remember Mireille talked about being present as parents. It's not enough for you to say, yes, my child is living in my house and we are together. We sleep and wake up every day. And you sleep and wake up, the next minute you fling out, as in travel out, you're in one business meeting or the other all through the night, you come back late at night, you're busy about everything about you. And especially now with the internet,
Mhm.
we see ourselves as parents always busy with
Mhm.
our phones,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
busy with it on the internet.
Mhm.
Yes, all the time. And sometimes we neglect the children. We don't even care
Mhm.
about what they are doing. And in
Exactly.
the end, it is we that we are going to suffer it, because if you have failed to do the right thing now, you definitely suffer it tomorrow, because at your old age, you're supposed to live in peace. Just go around like
Mhm.
I appreciate Muriel now. Just, take care of your grandchildren from one house to the other, from one, just
When you
enjoy
want.
yourself, you and your husband. But at the old age, at the old age when you're supposed to do that, you're now in prayer for your child's life to be better,
Mhm.
because you have
Yeah, yeah,
failed to do what you were supposed to do at the right time.
exactly. Yeah.
So it is high time, really. We
Mhm.
have change mindset to parenting and begin to really look at what is necessary to be done. Let it be done at the right time. There's time for everything. We know the internet is there. We know
Yeah,
there's so
there's
many things that is distracting us, even as
mhm.
parents. But the responsibility which you have collected has to be dealt with. You have to handle it.
And sometimes it's simple thing because I always tell people I went on social media because of my girl, because she without asking, I think she learned
Okay.
from other children how to go on Facebook, and said, okay, what do I do? Do I I scream at her and forbid her to do it, or I just go there to actually be the surveillance, to see what's going on? And that's how I went on Facebook, just to be present and see what's going on there and what she's doing. And when I saw something that was not right, I would say, hey, don't do that. So sometimes you just have to go out of your
Yes.
comfort and find something that works. Obviously, if you start screaming at her, she will do it behind your back. So I just sneak myself into the social media, and now I could see what was going on. And when things were quite dangerous, I would say, hey, no, no way. So sometimes it's just simple things like that, when we say being present. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. So absolutely, that's being present. That's being present in your child's life. So you know what they are
Mhm.
doing at the time. You know where they
Mhm.
are at the time. It's not about sneaking on them from time to time, but it's about
Mhm.
really knowing what they are into, what they are doing, what are they reading,
Mhm.
what are they watching. Even for those that are
Exactly.
still young, that are watching cartoons, watching the
Mhm.
TV, what are they really watching when you're not there? In the
Mhm.
internet, what are they really watching when you're not there? Who are they following? Who are they emulating when you are not there? So all of those things, you sit
Yeah.
around with them, you ask them questions, who are your role models and all of that. Those are the steps we are talking about to for you as parent to really be present. It's not about you being present physically, but being present even emotionally and
Mhm.
all of that, in your child's life. So it has been an interesting discussion
Very
with
interesting.
our Mireille. Okay, so now, Mireille, I want you to just, in a bit, to changing the narrative, because we
Mhm.
want to really change the narrative. That's why, this show is here for us to help in a way that we can at least change the narrative, at least in one
Mhm.
parent's life or in one family's life,
Mhm.
line life. So, in a bit to changing the narrative, what do you think parents and, of course, people in the society needs to do differently? We need you to share your words of advice at this time
Mhm.
to our parents and, of course, to the
Yeah.
people in the society, our
Mhm.
leaders, our, you know, the
Mhm.
politicians, like we say.
Yeah. I think first, as parents, it's important to understand that it's a new journey for us. The world has changed. Like I said, there's a lot of force at play. So as parents, it's important when we go into it, with a positive mindset, and really get to discover our children so that we can work with them to guide them, to to give them the right values, and in a way, and sometimes some parents don't like that. I think you basically have to be your child best friend, so that they know when they have something, they come first to you and talk about it, and talk, and be themselves with you, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult. They will be actually sidetracked by all the other influences that are at play, just their environment and around them. And I think that's the first thing. And really understand as parents that you don't always get it right. You don't always get it right. So plan for when you're going to have those time of failure, those shortcomings. Don't discourage yourself. Just, when you fail, when there are challenges, just, put yourself in a solution mode and try to bring something that will change the situation, or get help, like we said, from anyone, if it's a specialist, if it's a friend, if it's a neighbor, if it's a brother and sister. Get help. Don't be ashamed. Don't look at the failure or what's going on with your child as something that is, that you have to be ashamed of. Take, look at it, learn from it, and try to change the situation in a positive way. And for the school system, same. Like I said, there are things that we need to get into the school system, because our children spend almost, more than half of the day at school. So it's important that they, this environment is a positive environment, and all the curriculum that are going into it are the right curriculum to give them the right values, to give them the right, perception of things, and that's, I think that's really the key one that we still, where we're still lagging behind. And obviously for the public figures, the politician, to bring the right values as well, and be role models for this youth that is, looking at them and trying to be like them, and trying to take their place, when they retire. And I think sometimes we forget that, as leaders, as politician, as influencer, we forget that the younger generation is looking at us, and it's important that we bring our best and show them our best, so that we make them the best as well. So that's really the message that I have for those three entity here.
Yeah. Yes. So the leaders out there, influencers, politicians, we need to begin to look back
Hmm.
when you do the things you do, knowing that the younger generation are watching you. In fact, we've seen cases where, you know, a particular person, I don't want to go into who the person is, and where the person is from, because the person
Hmm.
is, dressing in a particular way. Those that claim to follow the person are now dressing the same way. So it is important for us to be positive role models for the younger generation coming behind us, because they actually want to emulate somebody. They want
Hmm.
to, be like somebody. So if you want somebody to emulate you, is it for the wrongs or for the right reasons? So it is high time for us to, be very intentional about the things we put out there. And again, for parents, I would also just want to chip this in,
Hmm.
that you encourage your children to be entrepreneurial, mindful, have
Hmm.
entrepreneurship mindset, because the world we are today, the society we are today, that is, what drives us.
Hmm.
Let your child know that there's seed time and harvest. Everything don't just happen, out of the blues. There's a process to getting
Hmm.
things done. Like I today, I actually had an encounter, with someone who
Hmm.
actually asked about She Rise Academy, and I said
Hmm.
we just started, and we are moving gradually. And the person
Hmm.
just asked, "How many students do you have enrolled? Do you have up to 1,000, 2,000 students?" I said, "No, because we are just starting."
Starting,
He
yeah.
said, "No, you have to, you know, there you have to, before you can talk about it to me, you're supposed to have at least up to 1,000 or 2,000 students registered in your academy, because that shows that you are really serious, you're doing business and all of that." And I told the person, life is not like that. And
Hmm.
in case you have forgotten, there are processes to getting things done to success. There are steps. We just started. Those
Hmm.
people that you are talking about started from somewhere. In fact, you may not even know their story or how they started. So this is our story. We are not
Exactly.
rushing into anything. We are taking it step after step. Like Mireille talked about, building the brick one after the other. At times you build it and it crumbles. You have to go back
Exactly.
and arrange, check where you made mistakes and begin to build again. So life is not a bed of roses where you just lie down and turn this way, you feel the foamy parts, they bouncing you before turn this way. There are times where you have to scratch the surface with your hands, with your
Hmm.
fingers, for you to be able to get water. So, for our youths out there, for
Hmm.
those that are watching us, you're looking at Mireille. This woman is successful. How I want to be like her today? No, she had a story. She has a story. She
Exactly.
started somewhere. And of course, she tried to share a bit about her journey. She started somewhere. You cannot just wake up today and you still want to be like Mireille, yes, it's good to be like her, but go learn how the things she went through. And of course, she'll be willing to tell you the mistakes she made so that you won't make the same.
Mhm.
Because every leader has a story. And it is high time for us as leaders to begin to share those challenging periods with our younger generations coming, so that they get to know that it did not just happen. I did not
Mhm.
just sleep and wake up and find myself
Exactly.
here. There's a whole lot that goes into it. So this syndrome, this mentality of our children just sleep and wake up, we want to own an iPhone, we want to, live in the best houses just now, it is leading them into crimes that we can't even begin
Exactly.
to imagine. How did what happened? And of course, I know this is going to be another topic that we'll be talking on. When you see a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old child killing
Mhm.
for money rituals and all of that, you begin to wonder, begin to ask yourself, what is happening? Where are you running to?
Mhm.
What is pushing you? And these are some of the things that is pushing them,
Exactly.
which Mireille has shared with us here. The society,
Mhm.
the internet that we expose our children
Mhm.
to at their very young age, give them phones, and they neglect their academics. It
Mhm.
is high time, you know, we do a redress. We come back to the drawing board and
Mhm.
address this issue. And this will really help us as parents, and of course, help the world to be a better place for every one of us. I want to say thank
Mhm.
you so
Yeah.
very much, my sweet
You're welcome.
sister. I keep telling Mirel, I want
It's
to,
always a pleasure.
I'm really, in fact, thank you. Thank you for being a positive role model. Honestly, I must say, for being a
Mhm.
positive role model for women. And I know there are some men too that will look at you and say, I want to have the kind of tenacity that this woman has, making things to happen all around. Thank
Yes,
you
of
so
course.
very
It's
much, ma.
and like you said, it's a journey. It's a journey, and that's why I always share my story so people understand that this smile and this calmness is like I said, I've built it brick by brick, going from one failure to another, but never giving up, just always standing up and knowing that God is there, is
At all.
guiding me, so I shouldn't be afraid. So that's an important thing to say. So thank you, sister, again for inviting me and for talking about those very important topics, because like you said, it's amazing. It's dramatic what we see in our youth right now, and things have to change. Things are definitely to change. And as adult, wherever we are,
Yeah.
we have our part to play to change the narrative and change things. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you too. So, the last one, what do you have coming up, Mirel, and how can people contact or connect with you? You have
So
anything coming
there's
up
always the
soon that you want to invite
the
us
life of
to?
Mirai. The life of Mirai is very busy, like you said. When the children are big and you are a part-time grandmother, because you don't always have the grandchildren. You can do many things. So there is the summit, the and Unshakable Faith Summit coming up on the 27th of August. So whoever is listening, please make sure you get your ticket, and you can contact us, and also contact me, or contact Sister Shirley, to know exactly how to get your ticket and give you all the information that you need. There are other, things. I'm always on speaking. I have some other speaking engagement coming in as well. One on the 20th with a friend that is putting a virtual conference in. She's based in South Africa. I have another one also on the 21st, actually, in India, which is with Lead India, which I'm part of as well, helping bringing a new leadership as well. And there's always, something in September. There's also my identity, my heritage with Sister Tebelo, from South Africa. We're bringing as well a virtual summit to celebrate the identity, the African identity, because it's going to be the Cultural Heritage Month in South Africa. So, yeah, so I think those are the big
Okay,
ones.
okay.
For people who want to contact me, all over social media, you can find me under Mireille Toulekima everywhere. So on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on the Instagram, Twitter, but the platform that I where I'm really active are LinkedIn and Facebook. So that's where you can find me.
All right, all right. Thank you so very much. So, talking about the Unshakable Faith Summit is gonna be a wow experience. So you look out for it. We're gonna have the information in the comment section for those of you that may be interested. In fact, this is one summit that you shouldn't miss. So I will encourage you. You get to the comment section. You click on the link. You will find there to get your seats because it's going to be a summit that will change your life all around. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, every area of your life, because we have the authors of the book and of course our special guests
So,
that are powerful vessels, that will be pouring out, to enrich our lives. So thank you so very much, Mirelle. So you can
you're
also get
welcome.
Mirelle on all the social media platforms. She has already mentioned that her beautiful name. And of course, for her programs coming up, you can always hook up with her to get more information. It has been an amazing time, you know, discussing and of course having you share your insights on this powerful topic. Thank you so very much for being a wonderful mother and of course a wonderful role model in our world. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And that's
Thank you
all we
very
can
much.
take on today's episode of the Family Circle. I hope you were able to learn at least one thing because today was about learning. And of course, all the time we are out here to learn on how we can become better parents, how we can become better family leaders in our homes. So
Mhm.
that's it. See you next time and bye bye.
See you next time. Thank you